This is the story of Desmond Doss. Desmond Thomas Doss was born on February 7, 1919, in Lynchburg, Virginia, to William and Bertha Doss. Raised in a devout Seventh-day Adventist household, his early years were deeply shaped by biblical teachings, particularly the commandment, "Thou shalt not kill." This religious foundation instilled in him a lifelong commitment to pacifism, vegetarianism, and strict observance of the Saturday Sabbath. Despite the economic hardships of the Great Depression, which forced him to leave school after the 8th grade to work at a local lumber company and later at a naval shipyard, Doss maintained a quiet but resolute moral compass. When the United States entered World War II, he could have easily secured a draft deferment due to his essential industrial work, but a strong sense of patriotic duty compelled him to answer the call to serve. Doss was drafted on April 1, 1942, and assigned to the 307th Infantry Regiment of the 77th Infantry Division. Guided by his faith, he refused to carry a weapon, requesting instead to serve as a combat medic so he could fulfill his duty to his country without violating his conscience. During basic training at Fort Jackson, South Carolina, he faced intense hostility from fellow soldiers and commanding officers who viewed his stance as cowardice or insubordination. He endured verbal threats, physical harassment, and even administrative attempts to have him discharged on psychological grounds. Yet Doss remained steadfast, earning accommodations to observe the Sabbath and consistently demonstrating the discipline, humility, and medical aptitude that would later define his combat record. Deployed to the Pacific Theater in 1944, Doss quickly proved his worth under fire. During the grueling campaigns in Guam and the Philippines, he repeatedly risked his life to treat and evacuate wounded soldiers while enemy fire swept the battlefield. His courage and medical skill under combat conditions earned him 2 Bronze Star medals with V devices for valor. However, the harsh realities of jungle warfare took a severe toll on his health. He contracted tuberculosis during the Battle of Leyte, a disease that would haunt him for decades. Despite his worsening condition, Doss refused early evacuation and continued serving alongside his platoon until his division was ordered to Okinawa in the spring of 1945. It was on the jagged limestone cliffs of the Maeda Escarpment, known to American troops as Hacksaw Ridge, that Doss's legend was forged. In late April 1945, as his battalion assaulted the heavily fortified Japanese position, they were met with devastating artillery, mortar, and machine gun fire that left dozens wounded and pinned down. When the order to retreat was given, Doss remained alone on the ridge. Over several days, he moved through a relentless hail of bullets and grenades, dragging, carrying, and lowering injured soldiers to safety using a specially knotted rope litter. He rescued men as close as 8 yards from enemy caves, administered plasma under direct fire, and continued his efforts even after being struck by grenade fragments and a sniper's bullet. By the time he was finally evacuated on May 21, 1945, he had single-handedly saved an estimated 75 to 100 of his fellow soldiers. Doss's extraordinary heroism did not go unrecognized. On October 12, 1945, President Harry S. Truman presented him with the Medal of Honor at a White House ceremony, making him the first conscientious objector in American history to receive the nation's highest military decoration. Truman reportedly told him, "I'm proud of you. You really deserve this. I consider this a greater honor than being president." Doss, ever humble, attributed his survival and success to his faith, stating that he simply lived by the golden rule. His official citation praised his outstanding bravery and unflinching determination in the face of desperately dangerous conditions, noting that his name had become a symbol of gallantry throughout the 77th Infantry Division. After the war, Doss faced a grueling and protracted recovery. His tuberculosis required 5.5 years of hospitalization, during which surgeons removed 1 of his lungs and 5 of his ribs. A later medical complication involving an antibiotic overdose rendered him completely deaf, though a cochlear implant in 1988 partially restored his hearing. The severe nerve and bone damage to his left arm from Okinawa prevented him from returning to carpentry, leaving him with a 100% disability rating. Despite these physical trials, he built a quiet life on a small farm in Rising Fawn, Georgia, with his first wife, Dorothy, with whom he had one son, Desmond Jr. Tragedy struck in 1991 when Dorothy was killed in a car accident while Doss was driving her to cancer treatment. He later remarried Frances Duman in 1993, and together they found peace in their later years in Piedmont, Alabama. Desmond Doss lived long enough to see his story preserved in books, a 2004 documentary, and Mel Gibson's acclaimed 2016 film Hacksaw Ridge, which introduced his legacy to a global audience. He was honored with numerous memorials, including highways named in his honor, a Seventh-day Adventist military training camp, a Christian academy, and a U.S. Army health clinic at Schofield Barracks. On March 23, 2006, at the age of 87, Doss passed away at his home in Alabama following respiratory complications. He was buried with full military honors at Chattanooga National Cemetery in Tennessee. Today, Desmond Doss is remembered not only as a decorated war hero, but as a profound example of how unwavering moral conviction, quiet courage, and selfless service can redefine what it means to be a soldier.